Welcome back to the Builders Coach. So I hope you're well. I hope your week's been productive and profitable. I'm here with Jess again. How you doing, Jess?
I'm good. Welcome back, everyone. We've got a lot to dig into. So how's your week been, Kurt?
It's been fantastic. I want to kick off by shouting out to Tyler up in Queensland. Won 3 MBA awards, one for a project in his niche, right in his wheelhouse. He got a Rising Star Award and also the President's Award as well. So fantastic result there, and so good for marketing. When you marry quality job delivery with best practice processes, it has a huge impact. And I work with so many builders, I don't get to see the work they do. I don't get to go on site and see, the quality of their workmanship. So I love hearing these stories, and what a great marketing opportunity.
So Kurt, I think this week you were talking to one of your clients about marketing strategy. Do you want to share this with us? Yeah,
interesting stories. Having a chat to this guy, and he engaged a marketing company. So it's intelligent to engage a marketing strategist, someone who ideally has worked in the building industry and has a track record of getting results with other builders like yourself. All right, that's a good starting point. It's a great example of who, not how. You don't need to figure out how Instagram works, Meta, video, all that sort of, all the different marketing strategies within your space. Just find someone who knows how to do that. So he thought he went to someone who was referred to him as a good marketing strategist in the building space. And he was looking at his niche, which is step one with your marketing, is what is the area of specialty that you can ideally dominate. And that's probably the most important decision you'll ever make in business, right? It's identifying your market. So look for a market, then ideally, find one that has margin in it, where there's profitable work, and then set up your marketing systems to pursue that market. Most people make the mistake of creating a product and then trying to sell that product to a market, all right? Rather seek out a market, find a starving crowd, and then sell them hamburgers, all right? So he was talking to the strategist about a niche idea in a particular space, and the marketing strategist went, yes, fantastic, let's go. And then they started running paid ads for that area of specialty, and nothing happened. They weren't getting leads or inquiries. So when I spoke to him, I said, hey, what was the thinking behind pursuing that market or that niche? And there wasn't any. And this is a red flag, guys. If you have a marketing strategist that doesn't do any market research, then don't go throw money behind a marketing campaign. What they should be doing, and this is how you know if your marketing strategist is quality. Well, one, they've done work in your space. They've got a track record of specific results that they can show for other builders like you. But also, and here's an example of someone that we work closely with, they would do some research on that market. So say you want to work in high performance homes or passive house or involving green technology. A good marketing strategist like the one we work with will go and explore the best high-performance home builders in your area. They'll look at how they're generating leads. What's their online presence? What's their offline presence? Are they in magazines? Are they running TV ads? How successful are they? And based on the findings, they will then develop a very comprehensive marketing strategy for your business that's most likely to succeed. So it's using empirical evidence that then mitigates risk and also gives you the best possible chance of success. So it was interesting. Just a great lesson in making sure that you don't work with someone who's just going to take your money. He actually knows and understands marketing in your space. And that, it's really a fundamental principle of marketing. It's like a first principle, really, which is identify the market first, and then pursue the revenue.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're saying, one, find your market, and that includes looking to, potential competitors. Mm-hmm. And then 2, how you're going to service that market.
Yes, be a solution provider in that space, which is what you are, which means you never have to sell. But it's like if you see, there's normally 2 or 3 pizza joints in one area. Like we counted 7 ice cream shops down the road here. Yeah. That's a good sign that there's a market there. There wouldn't be 7 different types of ice cream shops if people weren't buying it, right? So you could open the 8th one and then just look at how do you innovate? How do you offer a better service? What could you do? Put music in yours, maybe make it a bookstore that also sells ice cream, whatever it is. Add your creative spin and become a better solution provider in that space. So if you're feeling stuck with your marketing, you're unsure if you're pursuing the right market, and you want to optimize your results with best practice marketing systems, then make sure you get in touch with us, info@builderscoach.com.au. We can point you to people in the top 1 or 2% of marketing for builders and make sure that you get the best possible start with your marketing systems. So Jess, you actually had a situation this week where you felt quite stuck. Tell us a bit about that.
Yes, so as you know, I've been working on the Facebook ads and Meta, and it's not the easiest thing to do. Like, they do make it a little bit complicated, it's a tedious process. But we were facing an issue, and I had to contact support, basically. But trying to contact Facebook Meta support, I don't know if any of you listeners are trying to, is not easy at all. And I just got in a situation where, and this was across multiple days, right? Where I contact the support team for the payment processing. Then I had the support team for the business portfolio, then the support team of the ads manager. Anyway, just a nightmare. And then most of these things, when you're trying to contact support, is actually, they keep telling you, have you looked at this support page? Or have you read this article? Does this help you? And I'm just, no.
It's like an octopus and lots of tentacles. You just can't get to the center, right?
An absolute nightmare. And so this went across quite a few days, and it was really impacting me. Like, emotionally, my headspace was getting quite negative. But I think one night, it was probably like after 9, you were busy doing something, and I decided, okay, let me give it another go. And somehow, and I'm not sure how it happened, I was going through these questions saying, no, this is not my issue. No. And then all of a sudden this button appears of like, do you want to chat to support? And I thought, wow, miracle. Yes, I do.
Normally it's bot chat, right? You want to chat, but this wasn't.
But the chat was better than an email that doesn't get answered, right? Because I had sent emails and I was getting the wrong answers, or very little traction. So a chat was better than what I had experienced up until then. And then I put in all the detail of my issue, and then this. At the moment, I don't know if it's a bot or someone, but someone responds saying, okay, it seems that this is your issue. I was like, yes, that's exactly it. And it seemed like this is what you want to do. Yes, correct. And they said, well, can I call you to help you go through this? And I was like, yes. And then literally 2 seconds later, my phone rings and I got this person from Meta support calling me. I'm not sure where they were, but the English was impeccable. Yeah. And within 10-15 minutes, resolved the whole issue. Unblock what needed to be unblocked. And that's it. And then the sense of like, just opening the doors and it's just flooding. Yeah. That's what it
was like a sticking point, right? They just got released, and then something that had been there for months had finally been resolved. Yes. So great lesson in don't give up. If you feel stuck, there's always a solution and you shouldn't give up. And also, this ties back to what we were talking about on one of our previous pods with Ed Sheeran. Like, people get writer's blocks, or the creatives get blocks with their creativity, and he was writing songs, and he wrote 3 songs that were terrible, but he kept pushing, and then the 4th song was one of his biggest hits ever. And then he was looking back thinking, wow, if I hadn't written those 3 bad ones first, would I have got to the 4th one? Yeah. So sometimes you just got to keep pushing through. And that brings me to a great story. I want to share the story about the gold rush and 3 feet from gold.
Yeah.
Right? Because you might be 3 feet from gold right now. You don't know, especially if you're feeling stuck. Often the darkest hour before the dawn. When you're going through your most difficult, challenging, trying time, and this has been relevant to me, and I've coached over 1,000 builders. I've seen this time and time again. In your most difficult moment, your darkest moment, it's often just before you have a significant breakthrough. All right. So this happened with the gold rush. There's a man named R.U. Darby and his uncle. They went to dig for gold. They found a vein of gold and they invested in machinery to bring the gold to the surface. At first, they found a lot of gold, but after a while, the vein disappeared. And frustrated, they gave up. They sold their equipment to a junk man, and the junk man consulted an expert who discovered that the gold vein was just 3 feet away. This is a true story, right, from where Darby and his uncle had stopped digging. The junk man went on to make a fortune, an absolute fortune in gold. So the lesson of the story is about obviously not giving up, especially too soon, and the potential rewards for persistence. And it really emphasizes the importance of also seeking out expert advice, all right, and remaining determined even when things get difficult. So I don't know what your situation is now, but if you're finding it tough and difficult, just keep pushing through and be persistent. You hear endless stories, right? Every major story of success, if you read autobiographies, have these people going through significant trials and tribulations and then push and persist until they break through. So on a completely different note, but still within sort of marketing and the client experience and how important that is, you got a phone call from your hairdresser this week. Tell us about that.
That's right. So this week I went to a new hairdresser, amazing. I literally was walking by, great place, by the way, in Manly. And then I spoke to a lady the same day. I got an appointment, amazing experience. And then 2 days later, they actually called me. I didn't answer because it went to voicemail. But they left me a message saying, hey, you came to our salon like a couple of days ago. We just want to call you to see if you had any feedback and if you enjoyed your experience with us, which it's quite funny considering, the story we had with John McGraw.
Exactly. I was thinking exactly. Your hair does look amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
If you want to give them some feedback. But yes, you know what's fascinating though? That I know the owner of the salon. She's one of my builder's wives. And they were in the room at the John McGraw event when he was talking about Charlie Trotter's, at the time that it was in Chicago, one of the best restaurants in the world, and how after he had dinner there, they gave him a call to find out, get his feedback on his experience, the food and everything else. So they've obviously, whether or not there's a connection there, I don't know, I suspect there is, but when was the last time you received a phone call from any business that you had dealings with, just asking, how was the experience? It's significant, right? I mean, the fact that we're talking about it now is a reflection of how significant it is.
Yeah. Well, look, I thought well played, really nice, and I had a really good experience. So that's awesome. But I want to talk about customer review and customer feedback, right? Because we live in a world where customer reviews are bigger than there's ever been, right?
Absolutely. There's nowhere to hide, right?
Exactly.
As a business.
Right. Whether you are ordering food from a restaurant, via Uber Eats or just Uber, your taxi driver, or whether you go to an Airbnb, right? As a host, you get reviewed. As someone staying there, you get reviewed, right? Google reviews, Facebook reviews, etc. Right? So it's absolutely everywhere, and it's so important in this day.
I love it. Yeah. And like a little trick with Uber, if you as the passenger get reviewed as well, I always tip the drivers. Tip. One of the drivers said to me, my reviews are off the chart. And remember, we had a wedding once and we're trying to get out on a Saturday night. No one could get an Uber. I called one. It was there within minutes. And people were like, how did you pull that off? And it's like, my reviews are through the roof. So drivers pay attention to the passenger reviews as well. You're probably aware of this. But it works both ways and with Airbnb as well.
And it's harsh, but we work with Upwork. We review people all the time, but also there are so many people.
Upwork's amazing.
So many people offering their services. To be honest, if they don't have 100% job success, I don't even look at them. That's how harsh that is, right? Because there are so many people out there. We wouldn't order from a restaurant if the review were 4.2, 4.4. It's oh no, that's not good enough. Because that there's better places out there that are 4.9, 4.8, etc. So it's harsh, right? But that's the world we're living in. We're
flying overseas today, and we're going to be doing that for sure. We'll be checking the reviews in restaurants, and if they've got 2,000 reviews and it's 4.9 out of 5, booyah, it's going to be a good place. But there's something else I wanted to talk about with that as well. For people that don't know, Upwork, it's a platform where you can find graphic designers, copywriters, people to help you with admin, and it's becoming more and more relevant. It's been around for 10 or 12 years. You've probably heard about it, but in the last 12 to 18 months, the quality of the people on there has gone through the roof in terms of their skill sets and their ability, especially to help with builders. A lot of them have been, run through that many companies in the US and Australia, New Zealand, the UK now that developed the skill sets that you need. But I found our guy in India, his name's Bhuvnesh. And I could text him now anytime of the day, he responds immediately. I picked him based on his reviews. So on Upwork, it has a percentage review. So his percentage review was 98% positive. They also tell you how much work they've done, like the number of jobs and the volume in dollar terms. You've done over 400,000 US in work. So there's a lot of volume there. And I think 3,000 jobs. So that was that's a great starting point. Someone with plenty of positive reviews in the type of skill set you're looking for.
Yeah. So okay, tell us a little bit, and we'll just do a quick exercise after this, but like talk to us about maybe the worst customer experience that you've
oh my God, don't get me started. I've got to try and not get triggered talking about this, right?
Yes.
So like some of the, I can tell you now, like the things that really piss me off, the banks, okay? Certain government agencies, I think, because they're so bureaucratic and slow, they're the exact opposite of a business. We're all about efficiency. Like if you're not efficient, organized, proactive, professional, you're dead in the water, right? Mm-hmm. Bureaucracies exist to do the exact opposite. They slow things down. So I know it's a necessary evil, a bit like lawyers, whatever it is, but banks absolutely piss me off. They've caused so much damage for builders out there in terms of like them wanting to change payment schedules, to put builders in a negative cash flow position and negatively impact their financial position, which is a duty of care that builders have to their clients. They need to be financially sound, and they need to be financially sound just to get their insurance. So banks can cause a lot of damage and piss me off, and they present themselves, I think it really pisses me off about them, they present themselves like they really care about people. If you look at their ads, they care about you and your family. Bullshit, okay? They're not like that. But I would say Jetstar, for the Australians listening, Telstra, AGL, Jetstar, I turned up 1 minute late for a flight once, and I actually wasn't late, but they thought I was. It took me 80 days to get my money back after I proved that I was right, but just the mental and emotional energy that went into it, and it cost me another $700 on the day. They made me buy new flights. They're not client-centric. They point to policies and procedures. So don't be like them. All right. Be client-centric. Like the beautiful thing about being in business is that you can pick and choose. Well, one, you're free. Right? Think of all your friends and family that don't have their own business, right? They're going to work for someone else. They probably live for their weekends and their holidays. Not everyone's like that. But if you look at the numbers, a high percentage of people, they don't enjoy their job and they're just doing it for the money. In business, you can literally pick and choose your niche, your market, the type of clients you work with, and you can have fun. You can enjoy working with clients and then love them to death. Be client-centric. Virgin's a good example. I love Branson's mindset. He always looks like he's having fun, that guy, right? And then if you go to one of their gyms, I don't belong to a Virgin Active gym, but I know if you jump on their flights, one of my bugbears with the local airlines here is they'll tell you, get off your phone. You got to turn your phone off. Branson knows that happens. That's why when you get on their flights, they go, hey, you can keep using your phone until we close the doors or until we start backing out. Stay on your phone. That's fine. Speak to your loved ones. We know that's important to you, right? So it's about understanding your clients, what's important to them, relating to them, being relevant to them, and then consistently thinking of creative ways to better cater for what they want. And if you can make, like as builders, if you can make the build experience enjoyable, that's marketing right there.
Yeah, awesome. Quick exercise for all you listeners. I want you to just have a think of what is your worst customer experience, okay? You as a customer, just think about it. What was the worst experience you went through and how did that make you feel? And maybe what are the specific things that happened that made you feel that way, right? So have a think about it, think about that situation. And then the next thing I want you to do is think about the best customer experience you've ever experienced, right? Yeah. And how did that make you feel? And what were the things that the brand, the person, the company did to make you feel that way, right? And sometimes it's just small things, right? Sometimes it's just small things like calling me to ask for my feedback, right? Yeah. These are small things that just show that they actually care, right? And if you put that on a spectrum, so on the far left, you have the worst experience, and on the far right, you've got the best, absolutely customer experience. Now I want you to think about your own business, okay? Where do you think you sit on this spectrum, okay?
Yeah.
And if you don't know, you need to go and ask for some feedback from your clients, okay? But hopefully you do know, or you've got a pretty good idea of where you're at. And then the question is, what else can you do? What can you do now, okay? And this might be some small things, okay? To just push a little bit more towards the far right-hand side to be a really good customer experience for your clients.
Yeah.
Okay. Just have a think of that, write it down and come up with a few ideas. If you want to tell us, we'll love to hear it. Put it in the comments or send us an email.
Yeah, absolutely. Please put it in the comments. I'd love to hear your absolute worst customer experience that you've ever had. But hey, you just gave me, there's a couple of things, gave me a couple of thoughts right there. Elon Musk uses a thing called inverted thinking, where a great way to think of what you want is to start by thinking of what you don't want. It's a bit like dating, right? Like have your deal breakers. You don't want to date someone who's a drug addict, right? Or who maybe smokes cigarettes or whatever it is. So know what you don't want, and then that'll help you get closer to what you do want. So it's the same with your client selection. Like, think of what you don't want. You don't want a client that's controlling. You don't want a client that's constantly grumpy. One of my builders is working in a very wealthy suburb. His client's house worth $50 million. And he said this guy is the grumpiest, most pissed off person he's ever met in his life. And he's like complaining and bitching and moaning about like $1,000 here and $1,000 there. And he's like, this guy owns, you know the company. I'm not going to mention it, but massive company, right? Like a competitor to not Uber, but one of the food delivery companies. And high net worth individual, but just so grumpy and unhappy. And you can choose to have a positive mindset. Say to yourself, I don't have to do this. I get to do this every day. So, but inverted thinking is a good thing. Quick story about a company. I heard this in a book. I was trying to find the specifics. I couldn't find it last night, but there was a review that Google did on their businesses, the businesses on their platform, to find out about customer loyalty. So they had a series of questions and they did these surveys to find out how loyal businesses' customers were. And on like that spectrum that you were talking about, so you get people that hate the business, and then you get the people that absolutely love it. And on the far end of the love the company spectrum, they had a question which was, would you get into a fist fight for this company? And one of the businesses, so there was a small percentage of people for most businesses that were like, yeah, I'd get into a fist fight for them. They're awesome people. There was a business though that had about 70% of the people saying, yes, we will punch on for this brand. And they actually got contacted by Google. I want to find out, what were you doing? And it was genuinely just connecting. In this day and age of AI and bots, and you're trying to contact the company and you can't get through, and it just gives you all these options like you were talking about before, being able to connect with someone at an emotional level, to recognize them as individuals and what's important to them, and to be the solution provider that demonstrates that you genuinely care as a human being. That's a massive point of difference. And I believe it's going to be more and more of a point of difference moving forward.
Yeah. I think relationships in general, whether it's in business and obviously in personal life, is just going to become such an important thing as we, as the year go back.
I think I'm going to start doing that. I think you should too. You should ask your clients, like if someone was bad-mouthing you, would you punch him in the face? If that's something you should do.
Yeah, let's do that.
I think just add a bit of humor to it as well. But yeah, I reckon there'd be a few. I think we got a couple that would go, that would get in the ring.
Talking about feedback and customer reviews, I think, do you have like examples of, what a feedback form would look like? Do you want to talk us through that?
I do, absolutely. I've got a great little story working with a roofing company. They were doing 5 handovers a week, and they were getting great referrals. They're client-centric. They were loving their clients. They're getting referrals. But what we decided to do was ask for referrals, and they had a sort of 5-step process on handover. So these guys were doing some small jobs. Some of them were like $2,000. So they had lots of these handovers. But the steps were, one, they would inspect a job at the end, and it wasn't the owners doing this. The supervisors were going through this process. They gave the clients a thank you card. If the job was bigger, there's like a hamper and a proper handover pack and, bottle of champagne or whatever else. But at the very least, a thank you card, and the team signed it. Jeff, Greg, Shane, thank you for the opportunity to work with you. Then they made sure payment was collected, remittance sent through, whatever it is. And then they said to the client, do you mind if we get your feedback? 5 minutes, 2 questions. First question, what's the one thing that impressed you most? People would go, oh, well, you guys were fantastic, communicated well, proactive, outcome was better than we expected. I normally give 3 or 4 different things. And then the second question is, what is the one thing you felt we could have done better? And that's the feedback that you want to listen to, qualify that feedback, make sure it's coming from someone who's sane, and then walk towards the criticism. That's an opportunity for growth. And then you ask them, do you mind if we use your feedback in our marketing? So any of those positive comments, and you can capture this, you can write it down, you can record it with their permission, or even better, get a video. If they extroverted people, some people, like we all know people, you can't get the microphone out of their hands. They just love being extroverted. I'm, by the way, introverted. You wouldn't think so. I'll just love what I do, but I'm naturally an introverted person. But there's people that would gladly give you a video, and the video captures the tonality, the emotion, all that sort of thing. And obviously it's the number one medium for communication these days. And then the last question, who do you know who could benefit from working with us? That's the referral capturing question. And by asking that every single time, and by the way, this became a key performance indicator for their supervisors. So they got their performance measured on their ability to follow through with us every single time. So we're sort of incentivized on it. And their business absolutely exploded. Their number of referrals quadrupled just by asking. You don't ask, you don't get. A lot of people won't give you a referral because they think you're busy. They don't want to hassle you by giving you a referral. But obviously, you want plenty of referrals coming in because it puts you in the power seat. You can pick and choose. Look, if you want a copy of that feedback form, I'll happily send it to you for free. Just email info@builderscoach.com.au and I'll get that across to you quick smart.
Hey, quickly, before we wrap up, let's talk about Google reviews and your business profile on Google.
Yes. Yeah, I'm embarrassed to say that I use Google a lot. I used all the apps except the Business Profile Manager. I believe it's called the Business Profile Manager. I hadn't set it up. We just set it up recently, so we're like 20 years behind in our Google reviews, but they've started to come in. And I'd aim for quality over quantity. I know some people, they've got like 1,000 reviews, and it's like, it becomes a bit questionable. Like, are they all real people? Are they bots? What is it? So again, if you've got real connections with people and they're genuine, that's going to come across. But absolutely, Google reviews, Facebook reviews, what you were talking about before, right? Review. We live in a world now, and I love the fact that there's nowhere to hide because it means, rogue companies can't exist without getting slammed. And so if you don't already have it set up your Google reviews, set up your Meta reviews, and then ask for reviews from your best clients.
Yeah. And first the thing you need to do is set up your Google profile. Okay, really important for people to actually find you in Google quite effectively.
Absolutely. That's all we've got time for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Talk soon. Bye.